SRB,
from.
that was the first one, and then we,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa, I can't even say that right. Good evening, citizens of Gray, and welcome to the June 26th meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Roll call. Anthony.
Here.
Derek.
Here.
Georgia.
here,
And Brad Fogg is here. We have an established quorum. We have 4 members present, we have 1 vacancy. If there's anybody out there in television land that would like to volunteer with the town of Gray, this is a vitally important committee, so feel free to go to the town's website and fill out a volunteer application for Zoning Board of Appeals. We have 1 current vacancy and 2 what's a good way to put it? Associate vacancies, as it's listed in the ordinance. It's listed as members and associates. So feel free to do that. Is there a motion on tonight's meeting?
Derek Shirley motions to take the
December 27th.
December 27th
Shane Brady.
Shane Brady off the table.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? It's 4-0. Thank you very much. Mr. Brady, step up to the podium. And tell us what you've done since the 27th of December.
Since the 27th, I've got a survey from Wayne Wood to get the actual property lines staked out. And then I've also measured everything, so we have an exact setbacks.
Anything else?
And then I've staked it out down on North Raymond Road so that we have a visual picture of what I'd like to accomplish.
So what is it, so the public knows, what is it that you had staked out?
I had 2 proposed driveways, one on Route 26 and one on North Raymond Road. And then I had the building envelope staked out in the middle of the property that meets all the town setbacks. And then I had what I would like for a building envelope so I could square it off and make it more uniform.
The setback stakes that you planted, or your surveyor planted, are those the current town setbacks, or are those the requested setbacks?
Both were out there.
Okay,
The orange stakes were the current setbacks, and then the yellow stakes were the requested variance for the setbacks,
okay.
which they would all encroach on the 50-foot setback off the front line, so it wouldn't affect any of the neighbors.
Now, after the site walk that the Zoning Board of Appeals did this afternoon, or just prior to this meeting, they proposed a number of questions. Oh, geez, I'm popping Kyle's eardrums back there when I rub the mic. Kyle, I am sorry. Does the board have any questions about what they saw tonight, or any questions they would like to ask Shane for the public to be aware of?
well, Georgia Woodbury, we were discussing if you are granted the variance, of if you leveled out the property, how are you going to keep it from going next door? The
Water drainage.
The water drainage.
So most of the building would be in the gully for the flat spot, and the erosion fence would go up on the property line. And then I would basically build at the existing property level, except for the very front corner, which is on the knoll. And the foundation would be high enough out of the ground, so I wouldn't have to level much around it, so any water that would run off would stay on my property.
And on the proposed North Raymond Road driveway, you had staked out a proposed driveway that actually would have drained into the street drain.
Correct.
Do you have a remedy for that?
to shorten up the driveway from the 20-foot entrance down to roughly a 15-foot to get it away from the storm drain.
And to protect any flow of water from
going-
the rounded road. I mean, the road's got a little bit of a pitch to it, so, you know. How would
Right.
you prevent any splashback or flow back from going into that street drain?
Put a little bit of a swale on the end of the driveway so that it could drain left and right onto the property.
Anybody else? Questions on the driveway?
Derek Shirley, and I just want to say for the record, and we are discussing the second proposed driveway, because there was two proposed.
Right,
Just saying for I know,
the
but,
North Raymond Road
Right.
one.
Does anybody have any questions about the North Raymond Road proposal for a driveway? I mean, Shane, you had talked about line of sight.
Right.
My concern, if a driveway were put on that side, is the amount of daytime traffic that actually flows north to south on 26. And the number of people that try to enter the drive, or the highway, Route 26, maybe 75 feet down the road from North Weymouth Road, that it seems to be a fairly dangerous intersection from what I've observed trying to drive there or drive out of off of Weymouth Road to get into the flow of traffic. And I see a potential conflict with left-turning traffic from Route 26. When they get the green arrow, I mean,
Right.
we all know that they kind of race to get that green arrow and get through the green arrow before it turns red. And I'm not sure that the 50 or 75 feet right there would be adequate.
There's roughly 100 feet from the
100
drive.
106 feet, right?
Yeah, but that's to the edge where they start to enter on the North Raymond Road.
Okay.
So you'd still have the line of sight, you could see the car coming down 26, and if they fail to stop at the stoplight, you'd be able to see them before they get into that 106 feet.
And do you feel that the line of sight, because the Public Works Director has obviously, denied the driveway
Right.
because of 250 feet line of sight. Is there 250 feet on the North Raymond Road?
Yeah, there was a traffic cone out there.
Okay, I guess I didn't look for the traffic cone.
Yeah,
Okay.
Georgia and I did, we saw it, yeah.
Yes.
I was just,
And the speed limit there is 30 miles an hour on North
Right.
Raymond Road. Tammy, would you please explain to me, because I don't know this, what mobility sight distance is?
Is that a definition in the ordinance?
Okay, it is, oops, 5.2 something. Street ordinance. Derek and Andrew are good at looking this stuff up. Or Georgia, one of the three will find it before I do.
Okay. 5.2,
Street ordinance, right?
yes.
And it's under the driveway section, driveways.
Private driveway layout, construction standards.
They talk about sight distance and mobility distance.
Got to explain it.
Is
sight distance, no.
Well, there's a difference between sight distance and mobility sight distance. You would have to look at the definitions if it's not in this section.
Commercial
I feel
driveway.
like that's where it would be if it was in here.
Well-
site distance.
Okay, this, in the paragraph just ahead of it, it says, "Commercial driveway entrances and exits shall meet the mobility site distance."
Okay,
So my guess is mobility must be for commercial and more than 50 trips a day.
well, we'll try to, we're gonna take a second and find out. In our 1,000-page book.
That looks to me here, right here.
Okay, so, street ordinance, chapter 8.
If there's a definition section in your street ordinance, I would think that's where it would live.
There's a definition section in the street ordinance?
I have the construction standards here. Chapter 8, section 5.4.
So you can, like, here's site distance. There's like cul-de-sac. And
It says footnote 1, but I don't see a footnote.
Okay, for a
Private
private,
driveway entrance site distance standards.
yes.
okay, with you on that.
Definition.
Mobility site, that's the definition we're looking for,
Yes.
mobility site
Yes.
distance.
That's why I'm thinking commercial, it's commercial.
You think it's commercial?
Commercial driveway entrances and exits not requiring site plan review and serving traffic over 15% truck traffic shall meet the mobility site distance requirements of Table 5.2, third column.
Five point two, third column. Okay, we know what that is. That's 380 feet.
That's for commercial driveways.
Okay. Is that for commercial driveway or commercial site distance for trucks and stuff that use that road? Okay. It appears that the 380 feet mobility distance is for industrial use vehicles. And that's, Tammy, that's something that we probably need to work on, is get a definition of mobility distance. And what that actually means, so that we don't have that problem again. Okay. Okay. And you submitted all the appropriate drawings? Okay. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions regarding the driveway?
No,
And you're going strictly with the North Raymond Road driveway, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. That is yours, I believe. Will snow removal be a problem, or are you gonna plow it onto the right-hand side of the driveway so it doesn't potentially negatively impact the driveway to the left?
I'll plow it straight in or to the turnaround so it doesn't block the neighbors at all or block the intersection coming around the
Okay.
corner.
Thank you. Okay. let me take a second and put that out of the way. And find the newest package again. That, and put this out of the way. Loathed person that printed these back to back. Okay. Folks are really not that unorganized. There's just a lot of paperwork with this one. Okay, taking a look, this is a practical difficulty. Shane, there are 6 questions before us. You've written an explanation of those, but we'd like you to answer them verbally. The need for the variance for the driveway is due to the unique circumstance of the property and not to the general condition of the neighborhood.
Correct, because all the other lots in the neighborhood are proportionate and correct size so that they meet the requirements.
So how is it that your property is unique?
Because it's a corner lot
A corner lot that is,
on,
there are a lot of corner lots in town that aren't unique.
but it's so small that the whole curb is, I forgot the word for it.
Is it landlocked?
It is right now, yes,
Okay, why, how is it landlocked?
because it doesn't meet the requirements for the point of, I
The
can't.
radius?
Yeah, the radius.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. And then when the state redid the intersection and took a vast majority of the land, it made it even more non-conforming.
Okay. Is there a motion? On letter A? Anybody?
Georgia Woodbury. I move that the need for a variance is due to the unique circumstances of the property and not the general condition of the neighborhood.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Woodbury, second by Grbatz. Is there discussion?
Derek Shirley. You know, I think it is a unique circumstance as well. I think it's one of those things where it's he bought the lot, he wants to move there, and he's taking the right steps to do so. Now, is it unique? Is it unique to the point of, is that lot unique? I think so, because like we even said on the walk, it is the smallest on the lot, and being that corner in that intersection as well, I think it does make it a unique, because not every property is in a smack dab in the middle of an intersection. So to me, I think it is a unique circumstance for those reasons.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'll just add to what Derek's comments were. You know, the special circumstance of this property in my eyes is the eminent domain that kind of shrunk the footprint of the property. I do believe that the North Raymond Road proposed driveway makes sense. Doing a walkthrough, I feel that that was a very useful thing for us to do, and I think we can get somewhere.
Okay. Anybody else? Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Seeing none? All those in favor of the motion?
It is unique.
All those opposed to the motion? It's 3-1, it passes. Is there a motion for granting the variance, or a letter B?
Would you like me to read it?
If you want to make the motion, yes.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure, I'm just making sure I'm reading.
I could do this one if you like. Anthony Graybar's motion B, the granting of a variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood and will not unreasonably detrimentally affect the use or market value of abutting properties.
Fogg will second. Any discussion?
Georgia Woodbury. Yes, I agree that it's not going to really be detrimental to the neighborhood, but I'm wondering about those driveways. I still wonder about the driveway coming out into that intersection. Is it going to, it's not going to hurt the value of the other houses, but how is it going to affect traffic there? I don't know. I'm concerned about that pulling out onto North Raymond Road.
Anybody else?
Doing the walkthrough, I feel a lot more comfortable than I did before doing the walkthrough. So, especially with seeing that island, I thought that having a driveway on North Raymond Road, I thought he was gonna be forced to go right and then turn around and if he wanted. I didn't think he was gonna have that option, but it looks like there's room there.
Neither of the neighbors have commented on this, have they?
There's been no public, other than one person at the December meeting, there's been no public input. And we know that the neighbor next door was willing to sell an easement for, I think, $5,000 or something like that, or sell the house for $162,000.
I tried to buy an easement, but he wanted me to buy the whole house.
Yeah, I think it was $162,000, yeah,
Right.
okay.
The easement was gonna allow you to use his driveway and then do the turn.
Right, that's what I proposed to him.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then he was against that idea and wanted me to purchase the whole farmhouse instead of just buying an easement.
Yeah.
Any comments from the public? All those in favor of letter B? It's 4-0, it's unanimous. Letter C. I would motion that the practical difficulty is not the result of action taken by the petitioner or a prior owner. You didn't answer that one, so what would be the answer to that question?
I'm not sure how to answer it because the state was the one that took the land and made it more non-conforming. So technically, they would be the ones that made it an issue, but I'm not sure how to.
That's well put.
That is well put. Does anybody have any questions of the petitioner?
Not on that one.
Any comments? Any comments from the public? All those in favor of the motion? It's unanimous, 4-0. Letter D, anybody?
Derek Shirley. No other feasible alternative to a variance is available to the petitioner.
Is there a second?
Georgia Woodbury, I second the motion.
Shane, what have you done to look at alternatives to?
To entering the lot,
Yes.
there's really not much more of an alternative besides buying an easement off one of the neighbors. But neither of the neighbors would like to sell it, or sell me an easement because they both would like that piece of property.
And I would presume, I don't know this for sure, but I would presume that on the Route 26 proposed driveway, there is a power pole there, which would probably even greater restrict the sale of any easement.
Right. Because you'd have to
You've
get
got
the,
public utilities running on that easement there. Does anybody have any questions?
No, I
Any-
think
any-
we've covered that.
Okay, any comments? Any comment from the public? And seeing none from Web TV or Facebook? All those in favor of the motion? Unanimous. I would move that the granting of a variance for the driveway will not unreasonably adversely affect the natural environment. Is there a second?
I second that.
Fogg and Kabaz. I butcher that name every time I say it. I apologize.
No, you're spot on.
Any questions of the applicant? Are there any comments? It appears that the survey stakes and the proposed building envelope certainly address the high and low spots on that property. And knowing that there used to be a store and a blacksmith shop on the property, it seems like the natural environment was not affected that we know of. So, all those in favor of the motion? It's unanimous. I would make the motion that the property is not located in whole or in part within the shoreland areas as described in Title 38, Section 435. Is there a second?
Georgia Woodbury, I second the motion.
Any questions or comments? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous. I just want to make sure that we look at these other items. What effect will be the proposed variance have on the prevailing character of the neighborhood? Does anybody think anything will change in the neighborhood or the
I think it's
appearance?
gonna be an improvement from the building that was there before.
Okay. Does the proposed variance require special screening or fencing to separate or protect the property of abutting owners? And I would simply say, not that we know of. We've had no public comment or written comment, as a matter of fact, from the abutters voicing any type of concerns about the environmental, any environmental impact. Will the proposed variance create drainage, erosion, or flooding problems? Any comments or concerns?
that was a topic during the discussion about the drainage. That's, that manhole cover is
Right.
on that curve there, but with the driveway having that swell, I know I have, my family has a lake house in Wyndham, and we've had to do that from that heavy rains, but that berm will stop everything, so. So we've talked about the drainage as a topic, so I feel we've addressed it and asked proper questions.
So Derek Shirley, I would say not as proposed.
Okay. Okay. Will the proposed variance increase water pollution? I don't see how.
Don't see how.
Will the proposed variance generate vehicular traffic access, circulation, or parking conditions which create hazardous situations? That's a tough question.
How many
because it's-
vehicles would you be having on the property?
Not two. So on the busiest day, less than 10 trips a day.
Any cement trucks or anything?
Only during construction. But that should be a short window, and it'll be one day to pour the footing and one day to pour the walls.
Yep.
No intent to create any type of business there?
No.
Okay, we're gonna hold you to that.
Okay.
No massage parlors or?
I don't know that if we look at how this is written, will the proposed variance generate vehicular traffic? Again, two cars potentially not leaving or arriving at the same time throughout the day, maybe 10 times. I don't see that being a problem with that intersection, because that intersection really was enlarged and renovated and redesigned to accommodate a greater flow of traffic. We want to make sure that we consider granting the variance doesn't violate any of the performance standards of the ordinance, apart from the specific relief authorized by the section. What he's asking for is a variance to the driveway ordinance to reduce the sight line. And I think that he's actually satisfied. Not totally, maybe. I'm still concerned about an occasional traffic guy that's not paying attention to the lights or stuff. And that has the potential for being a dangerous intersection, but if the driveway's on the route, and the driveway would be on the Route 20, the North Raymond Road side where there's less traffic, and really creating no more of a hazard than the parking lot entrance right across the street, in my opinion. I think we're okay on that. Does
I agree
everybody?
with that.
Okay. I mean, these are just criteria we want to make sure we looked at. And, okay. And will the proposed variance create any decree nuisances to the abutting property owners? I don't see how. I mean, one guy was willing to say, yeah, you can
You can buy my whole house.
buy my whole house for $162,000, looking for a quick payday, it seems, but neither of the abutters.
One could argue it's more of a nuisance that he doesn't have a driveway.
Well, that's true. But neither of the abutters wrote or testified. We have nothing
know.
from them in opposition.
This might be a good time to, you've already mentioned it at the beginning of your talk, but maybe encourage the public to.
Get
Might be
involved.
another opportunity right now to encourage the
We'll
public
do
to get
that in a
involved.
minute. Is the variance request the least modification of the zoning regulations necessary to afford relief? And I would say yes. I mean, he's not asking for a great deal. The 30 mile per hour posted limit, there is a reasonably good, there is a 200 some odd foot sight line on the North Raymond Road.
Right.
Although it's, Route 26 is, boy, I mean, the driveway where it's proposed, in my opinion, is really of no greater danger to traffic on Route 26 than the one that's only 5 feet away.
No,
I mean,
on both sides.
on both sides, that's correct. And in granting the variance, we may attach such reasonable conditions and safeguards as it may deem necessary to implement the purpose of the ordinance. And I have something in mind for the main motion. So, are we ready for a main motion? I make a motion that SRB Properties Holdings LLC be granted a practical variance from the standards established in the zoning ordinance It's not- to reduce a required 10-foot side setback for a driveway down to 5 feet located on their property at North Raymond Road, Gray Tax Map 013-101-007-000 in a rural residential and agricultural district. The driveway to include a swale to divert any water from entering the storm drain, and the driveway be moved, I guess it would be north, on North Raymond Road, to a distance no less than 5 feet from the storm drain. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
Georgia Woodbury, I second that motion as read.
Is there discussion? Is there any comment from the public? Seeing no comment from the public, all those in favor of that motion? It's unanimous. Now, addressing the practical difficult variance for the standards established in the zoning ordinance to reduce a 50-foot required front setback down to 15 feet, to reduce a required 50-foot setback down to 15 feet, and to reduce a required 25-foot side setback down to 15 feet. I'll make a motion to that. I'll make a motion to that effect, that the SBA Properties Holding, it's the inappropriate time for that motion. Okay. Would you tell us, please, I make the motion, the need for the variance is due to the unique circumstances of the property and not to the general condition of the neighborhood. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Georgia Woodbury.
Foggs, motions, Woodbury seconds. Discussion from the board. I mean, admittedly, on paper, when I saw the initial request, it seemed like a drastic reduction, considering the fact that that corner lot is the smallest lot in the area. However, having walked the property, seeing the placement of the stakes that the petitioner put in at our request, so that we could get a reasonably good idea of how much space there would be between the house and the street on North Raymond Road, between the house and the street on Route 26, and the house and the property line seemed reasonable, and not having heard any negative comment from the immediate abutters. I don't see a problem with. And again, the property is unique. I mean, he stated that, the state took a sizable chunk of that property, which had previously been a very buildable lot. Is there any other comments or questions on letter A, the motion? Are there any comments from the public? Any questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion? It's unanimous. I would move that the granting of a variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood and will not unreasonably detrimentally affect the use or market value of abutting properties. Is there a second?
Anthony Graybar, seconds.
Is there discussion?
No discussion.
No discussion? Any comments from the public? Again, the site walk gave me the opportunity to stand at the corner of the proposed house. All four corners of the proposed house, to see what I could see. If I stood at the right front corner of the house, the one that's closest to the corner itself, I had good sight line, reasonable sight line for a house that would not obstruct, let's say from Weymouth Road to the intersection, would not obstruct the traffic light or the island or parts of the island. Conceivably, I could see the store from where I was standing. I could see Weymouth Road from where I was standing. And doing the old flap my arms and put them out straight, it looked like a pretty straight, clear sight line in terms of being able to see something from that knoll. And as one of our other board members said, I believe it was Anthony, the structure there, as small as it might be, 2 bedrooms, correct? 2-bedroom
Yeah.
ranch. Certainly does not take away from the general appearance of the other houses that are immediately abutting that property. There's a house on the left, there's a house behind, and the next structure down is a business. So I don't think that unreasonably or detrimentally affects the use of the market value of abutting properties. In fact, where the abutting properties aren't being impacted other than a setback, and that setback is between the house on Route 26. There's a large driveway and parking area between there and that house. And on the North Raymond Road, albeit, I think only 5 feet between the edge of the driveway and the property line.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
There's another 8 or 10 feet between that, or an 8 or 10 feet strip of land to a full-size driveway that's been excavated and paved. And I like the rock boundary wall.
Thank you.
And I would almost be insistent that a similar boundary marking be maintained,
Okay.
because it kind of adds to that a little bit. To say, yeah, there's a definite separation, it may not be the line for mowing,
Right.
but there's a definite separation.
I've driven by that property so many times, and I keep thinking, oh, it's so small. But standing in the middle of it, like you say, it made a big difference. You could see, which I was surprised when we started walking over there.
And it certainly doesn't obstruct the view
No.
of the street by
Right.
either of the abutting properties, because it sets back far enough that
Right.
the next door neighbor, from what I observed, could easily see, Route 26. Any other comments or concerns? All those in favor of that motion? It's unanimous. I would make the motion that the practical difficulty is not the result of action taken by the petitioner or a prior owner. Is there a second?
I second, Anthony Graybars.
Any discussion? The petitioner answered previously to the question when I asked him is that as a current owner and the prior owner, I think being Steve Emergent of the Dry Mill Store Company, whichever that corporation was, they took the property, the state took the property to enhance the intersection, or the town and the state together took the property to enhance the intersection, thus creating a tenuous situation that made a once useful taxable property useless and reduced the tax rolls. And again, as Georgia Woodbury said, I mean, just standing there and looking. I'm very honestly, I'm glad that we asked you to do that. I'm glad we were kind of sticklers on, let's see where everything's gonna go, put the stakes down, knowing that the house, I won't go any farther than that. Is there any comment from the public? All those in favor of the motion? It's unanimous. I would motion that no feasible alternative to a variance is available to the petitioner. Is there a second?
Georgia Woodbury, I second.
Is there anybody at the dais or anybody in the public for comment? Can they offer a feasible alternative to the request? Anybody, anything?
Aside from a helicopter pad,
And I'm going to lecture a little bit. It would seem that if you had done some of this work before you bought the property, that you wouldn't be going through this process. And
Right.
forearmed is forewarned, or forewarned is forearmed, or something like that. But any comment from the public at all? All those in favor of the motion? Unanimous. The granting of I would make the motion that the granting of a variance will not unreasonably adversely affect the natural environment. Is there a second?
Derek Shirley, I'll second that.
Is there anybody at the dais who believes that the granting of this variance will adversely affect the environment? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? I would make the motion that the property is not located in whole or in part within shoreland areas as described in Title 38, Section 435.
Derek Shirley, I second that.
Any discussion? All those that are in favor? Unanimous. I would ask now that we take a look at the criteria for the gray zoning ordinance as we did previously, those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 items below. Do we agree that we've looked at the prevailing characteristics of the area,
Yes.
Yes.
and that it requires no special screening or fencing to separate unless we so stipulate? Okay. Will the proposed variance create drainage, erosion, or flooding problems? I believe we came to the conclusion that it did not. Is everybody okay there? Any water pollution concerns by anybody?
No.
Any concerns with generating too much vehicular traffic or access to parking?
No, 2 cars.
I could say the potential for a hazardous situation is there, but boy, that's in every intersection in this town. Do we think that the performance standards of the ordinance, apart from the specific relief sought by this section, is negatively impacted?
No.
Okay. And is there anybody that's concerned that he's creating a nuisance to the neighbors?
No.
They haven't commented at all, so.
Is there any special variance or modification, rather, of the zoning regulations that the town needs to be concerned with, or we might want to bring to the town's attention for correction? Anybody? Other than the definition of what that
Mobility.
mobility site distance is.
Yeah,
Site
mobility
distance.
site distance. I don't know where it went. It's here.
Yeah. And granting the variance, we can attach, reasonable conditions and safeguards as may be deemed necessary to implement the purposes of the ordinance. So everybody's aware of that? Okay. Does anybody want any type of special conditions implemented or put forth?
I think, Derek Shirley, I think the only one we said during the meeting was making sure it was 5 feet.
Okay, that was for the driveway. This is,
Oh,
this is for the
sorry. Then no,
setbacks
yeah,
and all that
sorry.
other stuff.
I
No,
don't think so, no. Sorry.
in a ranch, I wouldn't want the building to be any higher than that. And like you say, I like that rock
Okay.
separation.
I would make the motion that SRB Property Holdings LLC be granted a practical difficulty variance from the standards established in the zoning ordinance to reduce a 50-foot required front setback down to 15 feet, to reduce a required 50-foot rear setback down to 15 feet, to reduce a required 25-foot side setback down to 15 feet, and to reduce a required, that's the end, that's the driveway part.
Yep.
I would also motion in the same motion that a physical barrier, be it rock or shrubbery, and if shrubbery, to be a minimum of 4 feet high, be planted or placed along the abutting property, and I believe 6 North Raymond Road, the immediate abutter. And that a similar barrier be placed along the property line or the back setback for the abutting property owner on Route 26.
Okay.
And if I could use a planning board expression, standing condition one, you say you're going to build a ranch house, two-bedroom ranch, and it'd be limited to the two-bedroom ranch and deck that you proposed, and that all be within the building envelope that you marked out.
Yep, they will be.
A rather long stipulating motion, but is there a second?
Georgia Woodbury, I'll second the motion.
Are there any comments or questions? Are there any comments from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Unanimous. A written notice will be provided or prepared by the Code Enforcement Office approving the variances with the stipulations and changes that we are requiring. Don't mess it up.
I won't.
Is there any other business before the board tonight?
There's none that I'm aware of.
All those in favor, is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Without objection,
No objection.
we are adjourned. Thank you.